Imagine this. What if I told you that hidden beneath the moon's silent gray surface lies something worth far more than gold? Not a little more. Not 10 times more. But over 100 times more valuable. And here's the craziest part. One country may have just taken the first real step toward bringing it back to Earth. Sounds like science fiction? That's exactly what most people thought. Until it actually happened. For decades, the moon looked completely useless. A lifeless world. No trees. No oceans. No atmosphere. Just endless dust. And rocks. People even began asking, why should we keep going back, after all? Humans had already landed there. Collected rocks. Planted flags. What else was left to discover? It seemed the greatest chapter of lunar exploration had already ended. But history has a strange habit. Just when we think we've reached the end, it quietly opens another door. And this one could change the future of humanity forever. On December 17, 2020, something extraordinary fell from the sky. A small capsule drifted through Earth's atmosphere before landing safely in the grasslands of Inner Mongolia. To most people, it looked completely ordinary. Just another space capsule returning home. But inside were tiny pieces of the moon itself. Fresh lunar soil, collected only days earlier. For scientists, it was like opening a treasure chest that had been sealed for billions of years. Because nobody had brought fresh samples back from the moon for nearly half a century. Imagine that. 50 years. Without touching new lunar soil. Every grain of dust inside that capsule could answer questions humanity had been asking for generations. Scientists immediately began examining the samples. Every tiny rock. Every tiny crystal. Every grain of dust. Looking for anything unusual. At first, nothing seemed remarkable. Just gray powder. Exactly what everyone expected. Then, someone noticed something. A microscopic crystal. Transparent. Almost invisible. Smaller than a grain of sand. Small enough to sit on the tip of a needle. Most people would have ignored it. Scientists didn't. When they looked closer, they realized they were staring at something that had never been discovered anywhere on Earth. A completely new lunar mineral. It was eventually given a name. Change site, why? A strange name. But what scientists cared about wasn't the mineral itself. It was what might be hiding inside it. And that's when this story became much bigger than the moon. Because trapped within these tiny lunar minerals, researchers found evidence of something scientists had dreamed about for decades. Something unbelievably rare. Something so valuable that people began calling it more precious than gold, not because it looked beautiful. Not because you could make jewelry from it. But because if humanity ever learns how to use it, it could completely change the way our civilization produces energy. Think about that for a moment. A material hidden on the moon that might one day power entire cities, factories, even countries, without burning coal, without burning oil, without filling our skies with pollution. If that's true, then this isn't just another scientific discovery. It's the beginning of a brand new space race. Because suddenly, the moon is no longer just a destination. It's a resource, a prize, and every major space power knows it. China, the United States, Europe, India, even private companies. Everyone wants to return. But here's the question. If this mysterious material is really that valuable, what exactly is it? Why is there almost none of it on Earth, yet so much of it on the moon? And perhaps the biggest question of all, could this tiny substance really become the fuel that powers humanity's future? That's where our story truly begins. The moon has been orbiting Earth for more than 4.5 billion years. Every night, it's right there, silent, unmoving, almost as if it has nothing left to surprise us. But hidden inside that tiny crystal was something scientists had been searching for decades. Its name, Helium-3. At first, that doesn't sound very exciting. Helium? Really? Isn't that just the gas inside party balloons? The one that makes your voice sound funny? Happy birthday, why? Well, that's ordinary helium. Helium-3 is completely different. It isn't valuable because it's beautiful. It isn't valuable because it's rare enough to wear as jewelry. It's valuable because scientists believe it could one day change the future of energy. And that's exactly why. 1 kilogram of helium-3 is estimated to be worth around $20 million. That's roughly 150 times more valuable than gold. Think about that. Imagine placing two small metal boxes on a table. One box contains pure gold. The other contains just 1 kilogram of helium-3. Almost everyone would grab the gold, until they discovered the second box was worth far more. Now here's the real question. How can something almost nobody has heard of be worth that much? The answer starts nearly 150 million kilometers away. The sun. Every second, deep inside its core, tiny atoms crash into each other under unimaginable pressure. When they fuse together, they release enormous amounts of energy. Enough energy to warm every ocean, every forest, every mountain, and every person alive on Earth. Without the sun, life simply wouldn't exist. For more than half a century, scientists have dreamed about copying that process. Not by building another sun. That would be a terrible idea. But by creating a tiny version of its power inside a reactor here on Earth. It's called nuclear fusion. Many experts believe fusion could become humanity's greatest energy breakthrough. Imagine electricity without burning coal, without burning oil, without filling the sky with smoke. A world powered by clean energy. Sounds almost perfect. Unfortunately, reality isn't that simple. Today's experimental fusion reactors mostly rely on another fuel. It works, but it also creates extremely energetic particles that slowly damage the reactor itself. It's a little like building the world's fastest race car, only to discover the engine destroys itself every time you drive it. Not exactly practical. This is where helium-3 enters the story. Scientists believe that certain fusion reactions using helium-3 could produce far fewer damaging particles. Cleaner, safer, and potentially much more efficient. Notice something important. Helium-3 isn't valuable because people need it today. It's valuable because of what it could become tomorrow. Sometimes, the most valuable resource isn't the one everyone is using. It's the one everyone will need. And that leads to an even bigger mystery. If helium-3 is so important, why haven't we already started using it? Because there's one problem. A very big problem. Earth barely has any. After decades of research, scientists reached an incredible conclusion. The largest known supply wasn't hidden beneath our oceans or inside our mountains. It was waiting somewhere humanity had been looking at every single night. The moon. And that's exactly why the race back to the moon has only just begun. Think about this for a second. If helium-3 is really that valuable, why hasn't anyone gone to the moon, filled a few rockets, and brought it all back? It sounds simple. Land, dig, load, leave. Right? Not even close. The truth is, mining the moon may become one of the hardest engineering challenges humanity has ever faced. Because helium-3 isn't sitting in giant rocks, waiting to be picked up. It's hidden inside the moon's dusty surface. Tiny amounts, mixed into fine lunar soil. Scientists call this layer regolith. It's everywhere. But here's the catch. To collect just a small amount of helium-3, you would have to process an enormous amount of lunar soil. Imagine searching an entire beach for a handful of tiny diamonds. Now imagine doing that in space, with no air, extreme temperatures, and a 6-day journey back to Earth. Suddenly, that easy mission doesn't sound so easy anymore. And that's only the beginning. Every machine sent to the moon costs an incredible amount of money. Every kilogram launched from Earth costs thousands of dollars before it even leaves the atmosphere. Now imagine sending giant mining equipment, power systems, processing plants, storage tanks, then building a base capable of operating for years. This isn't a construction project. It's the beginning of another world. But here's the interesting part. Despite all those challenges, countries are still going back. Why? Because they're not thinking about today. They're thinking about the next 50 years. The next 100 years. History has shown something again and again. The nations that control the most important resources often shape the future. Centuries ago, it was spices, then gold, then oil. Today, many people believe the world's most valuable resources are information, artificial intelligence, and rare materials. Tomorrow, could helium-3 join that list? Maybe. That's exactly why the moon has become important again. Not because it's beautiful. Not because we've run out of places to explore. But because it may hold resources that Earth simply cannot provide. China has already returned lunar samples. NASA is preparing astronauts to return through the Artemis program. Private companies are designing lunar landers. Even countries that have never landed on the moon before are investing in lunar missions. This is no longer just about planting flags. It's about building the technology to live, work, and one day harvest resources beyond Earth. Of course, none of this guarantees Helium-3 will become humanity's future fuel. Fusion power is still one of science's greatest challenges. Many technical problems remain unsolved. Scientists still don't know exactly when, or even if, commercial helium-3 fusion will become reality. And that's important to remember. Because science isn't built on promises. It's built on evidence. But one thing is already certain. The moon is no longer just a distant object in the night sky. It's becoming the next frontier of human exploration. And if one breakthrough changes everything, the race we've been watching today may only be the beginning. Because in our final chapter, we'll ask the biggest question of all. What happens if humanity finally unlocks the power of Helium-3? Could it transform civilization? Or will it remain the most valuable treasure we can never truly use? One final question remains. What if everything scientists have hoped for actually comes true? Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the world has quietly changed overnight. The electricity powering your home no longer comes from burning coal. Factories no longer fill the sky with smoke. Cities glow through the night, powered by an energy source that produces almost no carbon emissions. Even spacecraft leaving Earth no longer need to carry enormous amounts of conventional fuel. It sounds like something from a science fiction movie. But every great invention once sounded exactly the same. There was a time when flying across an ocean seemed impossible. There was a time when talking to someone on the other side of the planet instantly felt like pure fantasy. Today, we barely think about it. History has always belonged to the people willing to chase impossible ideas. Could Helium-3 become one of those ideas? Maybe. Or maybe not. Because reality is never as simple as headlines make it seem. Mining Helium-3 won't be easy. The moon isn't waiting with giant underground tanks full of valuable fuel. Every kilogram would require enormous amounts of lunar soil to be collected, processed, and transported back to Earth. That means giant lunar bases, autonomous mining machines, power stations, launch systems, and technology that doesn't even exist yet. In other words, humanity isn't just trying to mine the moon. We're trying to build an entirely new industry, 384,000 kilometers away from home. That's an extraordinary challenge. And an incredibly expensive one. Some scientists believe it could take decades before Helium-3 becomes practical. Others believe fusion reactors may never rely on it at all. Science doesn't guarantee success. It only gives us the opportunity to try. But perhaps that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because regardless of what happens, the race has already begun. Countries are returning to the moon. Private companies are investing billions. New spacecraft are being designed. Not because they know Helium-3 will change everything, but because they don't want to be left behind. If it does, think about that. For thousands of years, people looked up at the moon and saw a beautiful light in the night sky. Today, engineers see launch windows. Scientists see laboratories. Economists see opportunity. And future generations may see something completely different. The place where humanity took its first real step toward becoming a multi-planet civilization. Maybe Helium-3 will become the fuel of tomorrow. Maybe another discovery will replace it. Nobody can answer that today. But one thing is certain. The greatest discoveries in history have always started with one simple decision. Someone chose to explore, to ask questions, to keep going, even when the answers were uncertain. Perhaps that's the real treasure hidden on the moon. Not just a rare element, but the reminder that humanity has always moved forward by daring to explore the unknown. And maybe the next chapter of our civilization won't begin on Earth. It will begin under the silent gray dust of the moon. If you enjoyed today's journey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Beyond, and turn on notifications. Because every mystery we uncover brings us one step closer to understanding our universe and ourselves. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.